Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 5 of the Whatnot podcast. My name's Kathy. I am a disabled maker, and this is a podcast all about crafty goodness. And I washed my hair yesterday, and it's a bit crazy, but luckily for us, this is not a podcast about hairstyles. Anyway, I hope you're all doing well and finding some joy in your life. As always, I'd like to start my podcast off with a special thank you, and my thank you goes to Alison from Nitty Hooky on Instagram. And I wanted to say hi to Alison because she has been a great supporter of my Etsy shop, making a few cheeky little purchases here and there, and she's put some lovely pictures on Instagram of her projects. She's been knitting a beautiful pair of socks, which unfortunately she had to frog, but I am hoping that they will be reborn again soon, and I'm sure they will. And a special little thought to Alison, because she's spending this lockdown with 5 children in her house, her 5 children, and I just think, wow. So I hope, Alison, you are finding some quiet time for yourself amongst what is probably chaos. Anyway, so that's that. Now, I've been quite busy over the last 2 weeks with various activities, crafting activities. We did not do anything for Easter. My husband cooked a piece of meat, and we had some veggies as an Easter thing. I don't really eat a lot of meat, but I did have a little bit of that because he'd cooked it. It was quite nice. He did buy me some chocolate, which I have eaten and really enjoyed. He also bought me some new watercolour paint brushes, which I've got here to show you. I'm hoping that things look good this week. I noticed last episode that I fidget around a lot, and I was looking down quite a lot, and I'm hoping to make a little bit more eye contact with you. I have worked out how to set my iPad up to the right hand side here, so that when I'm showing you things, rather than peeking around the corner, I can have a look and see if they're in focus and looking good for you. I did have a few problems with the episode last fortnight. Tears were nearly shed. It was horrendous. I recorded it on the highest quality that I could, which meant that it was such a big file, it was too big for our computer. I had to send the file down to Mandy, my daughter, whom I call Mill. She spent pretty much all day Friday, Saturday, trying to get it uploaded, and thankfully she did, which I really appreciate so much. Thanks, Mill. And in this episode, we are going to have a special appearance by Mill later on. She has recorded a segment over her Easter break and showing us what she's up to and what she's doing and a few other bits and pieces. So that'll be a little bit later on. But right off the bat, let's get into some finished objects. And the first thing that I'd like to talk to you about is my watercolour painting. Now, those of you that follow me on Instagram will have already seen this. I painted this rabbit for Easter, and I was happy with how that turned out. I enjoy doing it, and if you're not following me on Instagram, I generally do one of these once a fortnight, and I will time-lapse it with some music, so a lot of people have said that they find it quite relaxing to watch. So if you want to check that out, you can. Also, a few people have been in contact with me to say that they would like to try their hand at watercolour, and I thought what I might do is offer a few tips about some ideas. I do follow a YouTube channel and the girl on it does some really great tutorials. She teaches quite basic watercolouring techniques. She runs through it step by step, and I think that if you're interested in her YouTube or doing some watercolours, I will link her YouTube in the description box down below, along with everything else that I talk about. But something that I thought might be interesting for those of you that did want to try the watercolour, or something that I would recommend, is I've got quite a few of these colouring books which were pretty popular a couple of years ago, and I have enjoyed painting and colouring in these books. But I was looking at them the other day and I thought that for those of you that would like to try the watercolouring, and you've got a couple of these books lying around, you could trace these pictures, so I can get that, quite basic sort of pictures that you could trace around, transfer them onto watercolour paper. There's probably a better one, just a big straight line picture, and trace them onto some watercolour paper, and then using your watercolours fill them in to get a feel for how the watercolours work, how they sort of absorb into the paper, and then you'll still have quite a nice little picture at the end of it. But I just thought that's an idea that might be good for some of you to try. I'm trying to have all my stuff in front of me this episode so that I'm not having to wheel over to my other bench there and grab things, so we'll see how that goes. Now, the other book that I've got that I think is a really good one for watercolour is this one, which I purchased from the Book Depository, and I use it as a flower reference, but I've marked a couple of pages here to show you what I'm talking about. At the front of the book, they run through quite a few techniques, explaining how to mix colours, how to do brush strokes, and different things that may be of interest if you're trying to do some watercolour. And then they go through a section where they've got all the flowers. These are all the flowers that they show you in this book. I don't know if the light's that great to see, but each of these flowers is demonstrated in the book, showing you what colour palette to use and run through how to paint them. I'll show you one of the pages where the flowers, this is some fuchsias. So if you were worried about your drawing skills, you could trace this picture and transfer it onto some watercolour paper, and you don't have to match those paint colours exactly, but it gives you an idea of what colours to put where and things like that. So each one of the flowers that I showed you in the beginning has a full page spread like that. It gives you a little bit of a description on how to apply the paints, and I think it's a really handy book if you're interested in having. And I think it was a relatively cheap book too. I think that I paid under $20 for this book, so that's a handy book to have if you like the watercolours. Now, another thing that I've made this week, I had a custom order for a particular size rope bowl, so I have produced this for my lovely customer. She particularly asked for the lemon, mint and navy colours to be in it. She wanted it to be 7 inches by 7 inches, which I have done. And she wanted it finished off with the lovely little knot detail. Now, she does live in America, and we have had a bit of a back and forth about the postage. You know, as we all know, postage, ridiculous price, but it's part and parcel. So we've come up with a solution. She's happy with it, I'm happy with it, and I will be posting that off to her this week. So very happy to have done that, and I have only got 2 rope bowls left in the shop, and my project for the next fortnight is to restock my rope bowls. So that will be done. Now let me just check my list. The other thing that I've done this week is I did a custom order for a lady that required 20 mini skeins to make this shawl. And I'm going to move over to the side here, and with any luck I will be inserting a picture of the shawl that she's interested in knitting, and it is called the number 10 shawl by Lori Versaci. And I will now insert the colour palette that we came up with and that she now has, and hopefully she is enjoying knitting, or has enjoyed knitting, casting that on over Easter. But that was really fun, coming up with a palette of sort of modern retro colours that suited this particular shawl. So that's something that I have also been working on in the last 2 weeks. Alright, so moving on to whips. And first off, I'll show you the gloriousness that is my scrapbooking episode book. I had a lovely Easter card from one of my mum's friends, so that's that little bird sitting with those flowers that you can see there. I got some mail that had the New Zealand stamps in it, which I thought they looked really nice, so I've stuck them in. I've got a lovely little note from somebody, and some Luli yarn that I am knitting my Northeasterly blanket out of. And on this side I've got my show notes, and as you can see, I don't know if you can read that, so it says on that very bottom section, "This is not a hobby, this is my life." And that's true. And the other little note that I've got there says, "Greatest gift in life is your friendship." So, and I appreciate all of you that are stopping by to watch me and spend a bit of time with me while I hopefully entertain you with what I am working on. And I mentioned last week that I had to leave a bit more room because I was running out of room for my show notes. I decided just to keep decorating and write smaller. So that's what I've done. Alright, so that's my first whip. The next thing I've got is my Lovebird Sweater. And I'm not going to talk too much about this because I have done on the last 2 episodes. I will just show you that I am powering through the body. I've got about another 3 inches to go, and then the band. I've finished the hearts and the birds. I love the colours of this. I am getting to the stage where I want it finished. I'm ready to move on, and I don't think that I can say we're at city limits yet. So if you've watched earlier podcasts, you know what I'm talking about. But I think once I finish, once I hit the band on that, and I've only got the sleeves to go, we will definitely be at city limits. Alright, so that's that one. Unfortunately, I think the postie's making a delivery and the gang are letting me know, so I'm so sorry about the barking. I hope they settle down quickly. They usually do. Alright, so in between a knitting cast on, I will show you that I have been working on my cross stitch, and I've got 2 little foxes in there now. So this is the fox Forest is the stitch. The embroidery is called the Fox Forest, and it is by Our Forest Embroidery. And I bought this off Etsy, and I will link the details in the show notes below. And that was a full little kit which I showed on my last episode, but that's my progress at this stage, and I will continue working on that. And as you know, I also purchased some yarn with that, which was the 100% nettle yarn. So in this beautiful, it's called Azalea. This is 100% nettle yarn. And I also purchased this 100% wool, and I have started my Ranunculus. Now, I won't go on too much about this because, like, we've all seen the Ranunculus a million times. I think probably you've probably all knit it yourselves, but I will show you my progress so far. I think the colour is really pretty. And at the top there, I held one strand of each up near the neckline here, and decided that it wasn't really thick enough for my liking for the main part of the body, but I liked having the slight little detail at the neckline. But once I hit the pattern section here, sorry about my finger, I did burn that, I held the nettle yarn double, so that's 2 strands of the azalea colour held together with 1 strand of the terracotta, and I'm happy with how that's knitting up. The nettle yarn feels soft, and as I knit it and I run it through my fingers, it's feeling softer and softer, and I think once I've washed it and worn it, it will feel even softer. I think if this nettle yarn is like cotton and potentially inclined to stretch once worn, I don't think it will, because I'm holding it with 100% wool, which will help to keep the shape of it. But I'm really happy with the colour. I think it's beautiful. I'm keeping that in my little bag that I've made myself, and this bag is special to me because Mill gave me this fabric for Christmas, and in one of my Knit Picks orders I picked up this little tab which goes nicely with the apricot-y colours, so I'm happy with that, and I keep my Ranunculus in there. So he can go back in there till next time. Now, another project that I've been working on, I've really only just started it. I've just cast it on, and I mentioned it last week. I am keeping that in another project bag that I made, and that is one that I have done some candle wicking work. It's very pastel-y, pale-y colours, so probably a little hard to see on camera, but I made a lot of these squares many years ago, and I've got a quilt hanging up in my husband's study that I have embroidered a lot of these on, and I've still got a couple in the cupboard that I might make into project bags at some stage. But yeah, that one, and I quilted all the back of it myself, and it's in this sort of dirty grey, a greenish yellow fabric, which I kind of like that. So what have I got here? Well, I cast on the Ennui shawl, which is spelt E-N-N-U-I, and it is by Justyna Lorkowska. I hope I'm pronouncing that last name correctly, but it'll all be linked down below if you want a few more details. I showed you the colours I was planning on using last week. These are the 3 my 2 skeins that I've dyed there, and a Bendigo wool mills. And I was initially planning on using a green colour, and when I actually started balling them up, I wasn't 100% happy with the combo. Thought the green was a bit loud, so I've gone with this colour as the 4th colour, and look how untidy my ball. I've only got one of those cheap ball winders, and yeah. Anyway, so this colour is called Sandbank, and it is Malabrigo's 8 ply. And I think I won't be able to hold the cream up as well, but if you have a look at those, I think that colour's a little bit more tasteful. So let's have a look at how far I've got on this shawl. I've really just done a little bit so that you can see how the lace work is. Try and get a good grip on it. It's quite pretty. It's got the little sections there, so it's really an easy knit. I decided to go with the solid colours for the lace section because I think that shows up a little bit better. So I've got a garter section, a lace section. I'm up to a garter section. Then there is another lace section which is done in, I'm going to be doing in the brown, and I think it looks really pretty. So I'll be keen to do a little bit more work on that this week. Now let me just check my notes and see if there was anything else. I am still working on my Northeasterly, but I won't show you that every week because at the moment I'm knitting the cream, and although I'm happy with it and I'm enjoying it, the cream's a little bit boring to show you. So when I hit the next sock yarn, striped sock yarn, I will show it to you again. Alright, now I'll stop here and let Mill take over, and you can have a little listen to what she's been up to, and she can show us what she's been making, and I will hand over to her. So off you go, Mill.
Hello YouTube, I am Mandy and this is Dolly, and we're coming to you from Melbourne. Thanks very much to Whatnot, aka my mum Kathy, for having us on the pod. Just wanted to say hi first of all with Dolly, and then I'm gonna set her free because it's nearly her dinner time, so she's antsy. She doesn't look it, she looks quite relaxed because actually she loves being held like a baby. Like a princess baby, the baby princess that she is. But I'm gonna put her down now, so say goodbye. And I'm gonna get into my little bit of podcast. So Mum has very kindly invited me on to have a chat with you guys about a few things. And the first thing that I'm gonna tell you about is something that I have finished making this week. So a friend of mine was due to go to a birthday party, a very special first birthday party with it's one of the children from her mother's group that she attends, because she also has a new baby, or an almost 1-year-old baby who's very adorable. And unfortunately, because of coronavirus, and of course we all have to be super careful, that's been cancelled. So she wanted to still get her a lovely little present, so I helped her out by crocheting her a rainbow wall hanging, and I will put a little picture of it here because I have already given it to her, but she was really happy with it, and I haven't made anything like that before, and I was really happy with how it turned out as well. So if anyone wants anything like that, give me a holler. My Instagram is art by Mandy MEOW, and I'll put a link in the show notes. But yeah, if you would like anything like that made, just let me know. It was super easy, and I think I want to say the cost was around $20 or $25, I can't remember. But I would say if you would like one, I would make one for you for $20 plus postage. So let me know. Alright, now the other thing I wanted to show you was something that I've been working on, and unfortunately it's not quite finished, but it is blocking, and it's on like a fluoro green block, so that's a bit unsightly, but I want to show it to you anyway. Now this was inspired by one of my favorite crochet artists, Katika. So I will also link to her Instagram in the show notes. and you can buy her beautiful art. You can see I've got on the wall here this skull, and I've got a few other pieces of hers as well that I absolutely love. She sells them on Etsy and they're amazing. But I wanted to have a go at doing my own one. So I did, and I'm super happy with how it turned out. Unfortunately, as I've been blocking it, the cats have thought that it's a good idea to sleep on it, so it does have a little bit of cat fur, but I think it turned out super well. And I have a bit of a plan for this. So what I'm planning on doing is putting it on a canvas, so gluing it to a canvas, and then it's gonna have a little flower crown that goes along with it. Now I'm not super happy with, I'll just put this down now. I'm not super happy with how these have turned out, so I think I'll probably make some different ones, but I did make these crochet roses. I think they're a little bit, I made them in 8-ply, and I think they're maybe a little bit too, I don't know, plush, a little bit too plush. So I don't think I'll be using those ones. If anyone has any suggestions for crochet flowers that look beautiful and that might look beautiful on my skull, please let me know, because I've been hunting down patterns and I have not found one yet. The other thing that I wanted to quickly say about Katika is that she is doing an isolation art project, and I've taken part in this. So what you can do is you can send her a photo, which is just one person's face, and she will crochet it. So she will do a crochet portrait of the photo of your choosing for $30. Now that is 30 American dollars, so I think it ended up being around about $60 or a little bit less for me. But I'm getting a photo of my lovely partner Beck, and I'm really super excited to see how that turns out. So what she does is when she's finished it, she will keep the original, but she sends you a high-res photo that you can go ahead and like print out and get framed and put on your wall and love forever. And I'm really excited about that. I'm really can't wait to see how it turns out. And hopefully if I'm invited back, I will get to show you what it looks like when it's done, but I'm sure it'll be amazing. So if you're interested in that, or you just want to see, you know, what the portraits look like so far, or just check out what she's doing, yeah, have a look at her Instagram. It's really good. Now, the other thing that I wanted to show you is something that I've bought recently that is super cute, and I should have grabbed it down, but I'll just quickly grab it down now. Just hanging on my wall here. This, so cute. This is a crochet, I don't know if you can see the definition of it, but this is a crochet panda wall hanging. So it's got a cute little loop for hanging there, and it's got a cute little pocket for, you know, notes to yourself, whatever. It's super well made. It's super cute. I got this from Etsy from Gifted Gran, and so this is a lovely lady that she makes all kinds of wall hangings in a similar style. So with the head and the body, she's got, you know, little girls, she's got a really cute grandma one, lots of different animals, and they can be made to order. And no joke, this was $24 including postage. Like, I mean, I think she's underselling herself, but so, you know, you can get these for a real bargain at the moment. So I think generally they're $32, but this was, yeah, this was $24. It came out to me in a couple of days, really well packed. I was just so happy with it, and I just think it's so cute, and I have that on my wall. And I'll put a photo here as well, so you can see what it looks like up on the wall with all my other goodies. But yeah, I would definitely suggest to check her out. She's only had, I think this was her 3rd sale, and she's been on Etsy for a little while. So Mum and I are always looking for, you know, Etsy sellers that don't have heaps of sales and trying to support them, especially Australian based, especially women. And so yeah, I was really pleased to get this and to support Gifted Gran because I thought she was doing a great job. So now, something else that I wanted to talk about was podcasts. So I really love podcasts, and when I am crocheting or, you know, sewing or whatever I'm doing, my sort of favorite thing to do is listen to generally true crime podcasts, because I just love, like, that's the genre that I love. And I wanted to do a little segment which was not so much a review or a spruik, but sort of a spruik review and in between of true crime podcasts that I really love. And the true crime podcast that I really love at the moment is called True Crime Brewery. Now, this is a podcast out of the US, and it's a husband and wife team, Dick and Jill, and they sort of have medical backgrounds themselves, so they can give a lot of sort of insight, I guess, into some of the things that they're talking about. But I mean, I listen to a lot of true crime podcasts and watch a lot of true crime TV and all that sort of thing. But the reason that I picked these guys and the reason that I really like them is they just have such great chemistry. Like, obviously they're a husband and wife, but even that aside, just, yeah, they're back and forth. They have a very, I want to say, like, dry sense of humor. And with each other, they just bounce off each other super well. They also have, so at the start of each episode, Dick does a beer review, and I'm not a huge beer fan, although I am having a beer right now. This is my favorite beer, the Asahi, which is a Japanese dry beer. But aside from that, I mean, I don't know anything about beer, but I do find his reviews really interesting. It's just a couple of minutes, and he will review specifically like craft beers from different places, but they take suggestions, and sometimes they'll, you know, review beers from overseas, and that's like sort of a bit exciting, especially if it's an Aussie beer. So yeah, I really like them. And I would really recommend them if you haven't listened to a true crime podcast before, but you think, oh, that could be something, you know, that I'm about, or if you've listened to podcasts but not true crime, or if you're not super into really gory true crime, they have a way of talking about it that's very, like, respectful, and they never, you know, go into really graphic detail about terrible things or anything like that. So yeah, really interesting podcast, but really well done, high production value, and I think most importantly, they bounce off each other really well, and that makes it really, really enjoyable to listen to. So hopefully I have not zoomed through that too quickly, although I did say to Mum that I would probably do a little, you know, 3 or 5 minute podcast or insert into her podcast, and I see this has gone for 11 minutes, so sorry about it. But we'll see how it goes. Feel free to let Mum know if you don't like this in the middle of her podcast, and I'm sure that she'll tell me in such a way as to be like, get your own show. But hopefully you've enjoyed this, and it's been really nice taking part, and I hope that you're all taking care of yourselves in these quite scary times. And yeah, love to everyone from Melbourne. Bye.
All right, well, I hope you all enjoyed that, and Mel and I have had a little bit of chat about that, and she realised that she'd forgotten to tell you where you can find those podcasts. So absolutely, and of course, those details will be in the show notes if you're interested in having a listen to that podcast, and I know I will be. And I really admire Mills Crochet. She does not use patterns generally. She just makes it up as she goes. So I think she's very creative, and you've done a great job there, Mills. So good one. Alright, so now I want to tell you about the Etsy seller that I found this week, and I'm really happy with my purchases with this Etsy seller. And her name is Crystal, and she sent me a lovely little note that said, "Thank you so much for your support during this difficult time. I hope you love the real leaf skeleton bowls. And Crystal, I absolutely love them. I've bought two. I've bought one as a gift and one for myself. So I'll show you the gift one that I've purchased first. So this is, I mean, they are so beautiful. That's got a little skeleton leaf with the, it's got a bit of a reflection cast on it from my window just there. But it's so beautiful, and it's got her little sticker on the back, Resin Oasis, and she is lowercase Resin Oasis on Instagram, and she sources the little wooden bowls made of acacia wood from the Philippines, and then she does all the little bits and pieces inside them herself. And the other one that I got is a plain one. So it's got the little 2 leaves and the little gold fragments in it. So pretty. And I am planning on using this as a little stitch marker and notions bowl. And I think that if you are looking for a present for somebody, a little thing that's easy to post even, these are lovely. She does not charge postage, it's included in the price, and she charged me $23 for Australian dollars for each of these, which I think is, you know, it's a good price to pay for a present. And if you're in a position to support an Etsy seller, and I think she's really only got about 10 sales in her shop, this is a really, really lovely gift. She does also do jewellery, rings and earrings as well. And with the purple resin one, she does other colours. So they came beautifully packed in these little Hessian bags. And when they were inside the bag, they were all gift wrapped with natural paper and things like that. So they were really nicely done. So like I said, if you're interested in supporting Etsy sellers, I highly recommend her. Alright, so that's my Etsy lady this week. I'll just mention what I'm wearing. I've got my cedar pullover by Hoki on, and I knit this out of Juniper Moon Farms yarn, and I believe it's a cotton linen, and the colour I believe is Zoe, but all the details are in my Ravelry notes if you're interested. The other thing that I wanted to mention to you is, came to my attention that Pip and Pin has a free cardigan pattern for the month of April, and it is the Maema cardigan, M-A-E-M-A. So I've downloaded it. I bought one of her other patterns as well, because I think that designers that are giving out free patterns, I mean, it's just really considerate to me. So inclusive and a really genuinely nice thing to do. So she's got many, many beautiful patterns, so it wasn't hard to pick another one. So one of these days I'll get round to knitting it. And the other recommendation that I have is another YouTube channel, and I've been watching the vlogs every morning and thoroughly enjoying them over my breakfast and coffee with my Northeasterly, and that is Joanna from Stitching the High Notes. She is involved in the opera, and hence the name Stitching the High Notes. So you may already watch her. If you don't, I would highly recommend you go over and see her. She's just doing everyday things in a little apartment, but it is interesting. Her cooking, she does some cooking segments. She's just about to plant up a window ledge with herbs and things like that. So yeah, I really recommend Joanna, and if you head on over there and sign up to subscribe to her channel, let her know that I sent you. Alright, and I think the last thing for me to have a chat with you about is my shop, and I've got a few things here that I've made. I sold 2 of the bags in my shop, so this week I have made 2 more to replace the ones that I've sold. Got a few threads on that one, but that's alright. So I've made this one, So that is in these beautiful tropical coloured flowers and birds, very cheerful. I've put a, I haven't put the canvas bottom on with the pockets because I just did not want to cover the beautiful fabric up, and I've got a little stitch marker on there to match. Well, it doesn't really match the fabric, but it matches the colours, and it's a little, can I do this? A llama, and it says no problema on it, and inside I have lined it with some dragonfly calico, and I've got a matching pocket inside there. And I will mention that the base is calico as well for a bit of extra durability. So that bad boy will be going in the shop this week, and I was very happy with that one. Oh, I've got a hair in my mouth from my crazy hair. Alright, and the second one that I've made is this one, which I am extremely tempted to make myself one of these. This is an Australian designed fabric with the native birds and flowers. I don't know what they are, but I know that they are Australian. And I bought these to make some stitch markers, but I thought that little dangly matched so nicely with the fabric. So this one does have the pockets on the bottom. This is not calico. I actually bought this from my local op shop a while ago, Christmas time. I just like the colour of it. But it is like a heavy duty woven fabric, which I think probably would have been used to make a suit or something along those lines. It's quite heavy. And inside I've got like a birch lining and the pocket inside there. So I am very tempted to make myself one in exactly the same colours, but this guy will be going in the shop. And my last thing that I'll show you is some yarn that I have dyed up over Easter, and these will be going in the shop in the next few days, so I will show you those. You do not have to, you are under no obligation to go and buy anything from my shop. I just like to show you what I've been doing with my time, and you know, we all like to look at a bit of yarny goodness, so it's really for that purpose and that purpose alone. But these are some peachy colours that I've dyed up, and they have got some toffee coloured speckles with a slight pale greeny blue highlight on them, and I think they're beautiful. One of these days, guys, one of these days I am going to get this showing the camera stuff down. Yeah. And this set are a lovely soft green with a very pale purple lavender highlight, and they've got the speckles. Buddy, those guys. Sorry about that. I'll tell you a little secret. This is the second time I'm recording this. The first time I recorded it, they didn't bark at all, which wouldn't have mattered because I forgot to plug the mic in. Yeah. But anyway, so now the mic's plugged in and they are barking. Anyway, it's all part and parcel of it. It's all part and parcel. I'm okay. Alright, so they're the little speckles in this one. The gold. So, very nice. And last but not least is this lovely toffee colour with a highlight, a cherry highlight, and it also has the coffee coloured speckles on it. which I think that one is really pretty as well. I will show you a... Yeah, really nice. I like it. I like it a lot. And that's that. So I think that's everything. And Buddy, come here. Come on. Get Buddy up to say hello. Maybe that'll stop him from barking. Come here, mate. Come on. All right. So here's Buddy. He's a very, very adorable dog, but very, very naughty, aren't you? Very naughty. I love him so much, but very naughty. So on that note, I hope you're all looking after yourselves. I know this social isolation is more difficult for some than others. I had my OT here, who is my occupational therapist, here last week to do an assessment. She said she is struggling with it. She's a sociable person. She goes out having coffee and things like that with her friends, barbecues and all that sort of stuff. We are not sociable people as a general rule. So I think it is more difficult for people that are used to being out and about. I myself, apart from the fact that my husband is paranoid about bringing this home to me, I haven't noticed much difference in my day-to-day living. I will say that I'm probably more sociable since this has happened because I've started the YouTube channel and I am chatting to various people like yourselves out there. So I think if you are one of the people that are more sociable and are struggling, I know there are a lot of outlets for connection. And what has crossed my mind recently is that I know a few people are doing knit nights on Zoom. So if you're one of those people doing the knit nights, I am interested in joining with you, or maybe we could start one. Let me know what you think. I don't know how to do it, but I'll work it out. And maybe we could just have an hour one afternoon and knit and chat and let me know what you think. So, as always, guys, look after yourselves, stay safe, stay sanitized, and I will chat with you again in 2 weeks. All right, bye.